Honorable members, clerk, read the orders.
Orders of the day. Today, Tuesday, 5th March 2024 at 2:30 p.m. Order number 1, administration of oath.
Next order.
Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, I have the following communications to make. This refers to a visit by the New Century Primary Schools. I wish to recognize the presence of the Speaker's Gallery, of the teachers, parents, and pupils of the New Century Primary School under the Sikizana Trust Community Development in Zambani, Ivingoro Ward. Honorable members, it is imperative to note that the Sikizana Trust is associated with the first member of the County Assembly of Zambani, Ivingoni Ward, Honorable Nzeleli. The student, teachers, and parents are here on a study visit to the County Assembly to learn about operations of the role of the County Assembly in the context of county government. Honorable Fiametta, you come in. As you may recall, when the speaker is on his feet, you are not allowed to step in. And unless the speaker sits, you can't walk in. The only reason why I have allowed you to come in is because you are a former teacher. And once a teacher, always a teacher. So I didn't want to hold you when some teachers that you taught or you belong to not together than public gathering. It is because of that honor. Otherwise, please don't try that tomorrow. Honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence of the Speaker's Gallery, the teachers, parents, and pupils of the New Century Primary School under the Sikizana Trust for Community Development in Zabani Vingondo Ward. They are here on a study visit the County Assembly to learn about the operations of the role of the County Assembly in the context of county government under the Constitution of Kenya. Honorable members, I wish to acknowledge the teachers and the parents, students' body by name, and they may stand when I call their name, and bow to the Assembly as a sign of respect to the House and the place of the representatives of the people of Makueni. Teachers, Rachel Katuku, Director, Sikizana Trust. Madam Josephine Kennedy, the school principal. Madam Dorcas Daniel, class teacher, grade 5. Mr. Felix Mutuku, class teacher, grade 4. Mr. Simon Wambua, class teacher, grade 1 and Scouts leader. PTA body, Madam Lydia Sami, class coordinator, grade 5. Madam Margaret Peter, class coordinator, grade 4. Students body, Miss Jacqueline Mutunge, the school president. In other words, Her Excellency Jacqueline Mutunge, the president of the New Century Primary School. His Excellency, the Deputy President of the New Century Primary School, Honorable Titus Kilonzi. Where is Titus? There he is. For the information of visitors, the teachers, PTA, and students' body, the Constitution of Kenya establishes 47 counties, each of the 47 counties comprising of the county executive arm and the county assembly arm of the government. A county executive is comprised of the following: the governor, the deputy governor, county executive committee members, and its functions include: 1, to implement laws which have been passed by the County Assembly, and implement within the county any national law to the extent that the national law is relevant to the county. And C, to coordinate the roles of county administration and its department within the county. Honorable members, the Constitution of Kenya and the County Governments Act provides for the composition of the roles of the members of the County Assembly as follows. 1, elected members of County Assembly, in this case, the representatives of people of Nzambani, Ivingoni, Honorable Harrison Mwanzia, as an example of an elected member, with other 29 comprising of 30 elected members of the County Assembly. 2, other members of the County Assembly nominated for purposes of marginalized group and gender equality, and the Speaker of the County Assembly. Honorable members, the role of the County Assembly is to: 1, make laws; 2, represent the people of Makueni County; 3, to oversee implementation of programs and activity which are implemented by the county executive. Therefore, on behalf of the County Assembly of Makueni, I, Speaker Douglas Mbilu, I wish to welcome the teachers, parents, and the students, and to relax and learn more during this fruitful visit. You're welcome. Any member of the County Assembly to make a comment, 1 or 2? Member for Nzambani Ivingoni Ward, Honorable Harrison Mwanzia, former Deputy Speaker of the County Assembly of Makueni, and the Vice Chairperson Committee on Finance and Socio-Economic Planning.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would wish to express my gratitude for the opportunity that you've given me, Mr. Speaker, to welcome pupils and teachers from New Century and Sixana Trust Leadership Academy, Mr. Speaker, that is domiciled in my ward. And Mr. Speaker, as I welcome them to learn how this assembly runs, or how assemblies in our 47 counties run, and how governance, as far as county government is concerned, it is my great hope that the pupils and the teachers will go home having learned a lot from this exercise. I would wish to extend my appreciations to their parents because, Mr. Speaker, they are my voters and they contributed a lot, Mr. Speaker, of my being here today. And therefore, I would wish by extension to ask them when they go home, they go say hi to our moms and dads at homes and our relatives. I would wish to say, Mr. Speaker, New Century, as it is called, Mr. Speaker, is a school that is led by one of us, Mr. Speaker, former MCA, Honorable Cosmas Nzeleli. Mr. Speaker, when the member was here, he was an honorable member doing legislation. But when he came home, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Nzeleli converted himself to a father, and to a father of many. Mr. Speaker, this school houses kids from needy families, and Mr. Speaker, they have done a lot. Today, as we speak, this school has produced engineers. These schools have produced doctors, and we have several students, Mr. Speaker, who are in various universities from this school, right from an honorable member like one of us. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I would wish to take this opportunity. The fact that being that the school has needy students, I would wish to ask the administration of the school to do a letter, Mr. Speaker, to the Honorable Speaker of this House, and in extension inviting every other member of this House to visit Mr. Speaker, New Century and Sikizana Trust. And as legislators, we go see where these kids are housed, and we'll be better informed to come back here and do legislation that will be in favor of this school and then other school, Mr. Speaker, that does the same. And therefore, I hope the administration have had. If they were to do a letter to you, Mr. Speaker, inviting you and honorable members, I think we will do the honorable thing, that is to visit them and maybe probably have a lunch from their residence together and talk more about the future of this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable retired teacher, Bindio member for Kilungu Ward, the former head teacher.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I also take this opportunity to welcome that school, the teachers, parents, and the learners. I think you've come very timely, the right time, and I'm sure by the end of the visit, by the time you leave here, you will be different. To the learners, my request is just maintaining discipline, being disciplined. To the teachers, show love to the parents, love the kids, and I'm sure they will support you. To the parents, please love your teachers and support them for the benefit of the learners. Otherwise, feel most welcome in this assembly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Fiametta Mwikali Ndunda, alias Ngite Mosu. That's a popular name known. Ndunda is also known as Ngite Mosu, former councillor. And I think he was a councillor covering Ivingoni. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we had only 2 councillors in the larger Kibwezi East, Kivati on one side and my dad on the other side. So they were only 2 great men. Thank you. I want to take this opportunity to welcome the students and the teachers from Sikizana Trust. Earlier on, Honorable Speaker, I had a meeting with the girls' leaders. What you don't know, Honorable Speaker, in that school, we have girls seated up there in pink t-shirts, written girls leaders. I happened to listen to them, their forecast. They know what they want. When I was their age, I didn't know my strengths. They taught me their strengths, and I learned that they're being told good things in that school and in Sikizana Trust. I have known Sikizana Trust since 01 as a place where homeless children got a home and a place to be. During my time as a teacher, I happened to teach some students from the Sikizana Trust. And therefore, it's a place worth visiting to hear success stories of rescued children who have been helped and become people of benefit in the society and this country. So we welcome you to listen to the proceedings of the assembly, because I know some years to come, one of you or many of you will be seated where the speaker is, and others will be seated where we are seated. So, karibuni sana, and as you follow these proceedings, thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Mlala Mali Ward.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The Speaker, let me join my colleagues in welcoming the good students and teachers and people from Sikizana Trust. And I want to thank them for their coming today. Actually, it is a learning process. I want to inform them that what they are seeing is what came up with the Constitution 2010, the advantages of devolution. Long ago, we used to visit the National Assembly. It was only one in Kenya. But fortunately, because of the Constitution 2010, we are able to get the benefits, and now we have 49 assemblies. Actually, Makueni is one of the assemblies. So we are reaping the goods of the Constitution 2010. Honorable Speaker, allow me to say that the residents or the people of Nzambani must be blessed. They are sharpshooters. I am imagining, because Honorable Cosmas Zilili, who was Honorable Francis Mutuku and I were with Honorable Nzilili back 2013. I tell you, Honorable Nzilili was a very smart and a sharpshooter. Actually, it's the Vela, or the member who came up with the administrative bill, the Counter Administrative Act that is we are currently using in account administration. So I'm imagining if Harrison Mutie was able to win an election against Zilili, it must be more smart. So the people of Zambani entirely are good, are very smart. Now maybe in the future we will get a replacement of Honorable Harrison from Zilili Trust Fund, you never know. So I want to appreciate the teachers for bringing those good pupils for learning. And I want to thank the office of the Speaker and all the administration of the Assembly for allowing such learning activity within our Assembly. Thank you.
Lastly, Leader of the Majority Party, Member for the Man Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for this opportunity. I also join my colleagues in welcoming the pupils of that Sikizana. Is it Sikizana? Yes. This is where we represent you as done by Honorable Member for Zambani Ivingoni. Very smart brain from Ivingoni. When I look at the students, the pupils, Mr. Speaker, they look truly very bright. And indeed, they are the future leaders. I was impressed by the president of the team, the young man there, and Her Excellency there, who really bow seriously, Mr. Speaker. And I appreciate even the teachers, the principal is with them. I'm more impressed by Mrs. Katoko, Mr. Speaker. I don't know, because she comes from Kibwezi, whether she's related with Mutua, the one who was in that function of Freddy, the one who took care of clan. I don't know whether she's related, but I am impressed with the way they are planned, Mr. Speaker. Feel welcome.
Honorable members, this is for the information of my guests at the public gathering. Business of the County Assembly is contained in a paper known as an order paper. An order paper is a synonym for an agenda paper. And every time, or from time to time, you hear the clerks read that order number 1, order number 2, number 3. That is more or less reading like item agenda number 1, agenda number 2, and then the specific agenda name will be read, and it will cause for a determination or a debate. That is for your guidance. Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
Chairperson Committee on Health Services to give a response to a public petition regarding and address grievances affecting healthcare workers in Makueni County. Chairperson.
Mr. Speaker, we request that we do it on Monday next week. We are on the finalizing part of it. We are almost through, but to arrange the chronology of how to put it. It is highly anticipated, it's being waited for, so it requires that we do it right.
Monday at 2:30?
Yes, sir.
Ensure that is done. Next paper, next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Chairperson Committee on Infrastructure, Public Works, Housing and Energy to table committee's report, followed by Chairperson Committee on Lands and Urban Planning and Development.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Assembly today, Tuesday, 5th March 2024 at 2:30 p.m. The report of the Committee on Infrastructure, Transport, Public Works, Housing and Energy on the oversight on roads in the county. Thank you, Speaker.
Chairperson Committee on Lands and Urban Planning and Development to table committee's report. On the Water Municipal Board. Honorable Felix Maraso. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to table the report on the Sectoral Committee on Lands and Urban Planning on the report on the vetting of Committee on Lands and Urban Planning for the vetting of members of Water Municipal Board.
Chairperson, Committee on Lands, on Emali Municipal.
Speaker, give me a minute.
Chairperson, I read the order paper. You should have organized your document. Chairperson, Committee on Gender, Children, Youth, Sports and Special Services and Special Interest Group on the report on Chani. On what do you call it? On sexual harassment and exploitation of students in Chani Secondary School. Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the report is not yet ready, and I would request that you allow the committee to present it tomorrow in the afternoon plenary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Chairperson, I direct that report be laid tomorrow, Wednesday, at 2:30 without fail.
Or blanked, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Chairperson, Committee on Lands, Urban Planning and Development.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Assembly today, Tuesday, 5th March 2024, to that. The report on the Committee on Lands and Urban Planning Development on the vetting of on the vetting of Patrick Mutuku Mutua, nominee for appointed as a member of Emali Sultan Ahmad Municipality, LA.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Chairperson, Committee on Infrastructure, Transport, Public Works and Housing to give a notice of a motion.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that this Assembly adopts the report of the Committee on Infrastructure, Transport, Public Works, Housing and Energy on the oversight on roads in the county, laid on the table of the Assembly on 5th March 2024. Thank you, Speaker.
Chairperson, Committee on Lands and Urban Planning to give a notice of motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move the notice of the following motion. This Assembly adopt the half-yearly progress report on Committee on Lands and Urban Planning Development for a period between July, December, laid on the table of the Assembly on 27th February 2024.
Chairperson, Committee on Lands to lay on a paper on a Mali Sultan Ahmad Municipal Board.
That is done. Mali.
Papers.
Yes, Mali and the water.
Fair enough. And notices? Next order. Before next order, Chairperson, Committee on Gender, yes, on tomorrow at 2:30, you will give a notice of motion on the same. What I'm saying, Chairperson of the Committee on Lands, you've laid 2 papers on Water Municipality and Emali Municipality. Now you need to give 2 notices. You've given 1 notice.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to give a notice of the following motion that this Assembly adopts the report on the Committee on Lands and Urban Plan Development on vetting of Benjamin Masungwa, Romeo Deveni, Benjamin Wambua, Mutua, Daniel Kisianga, Paul Maundu Mutua, Evelyn Mulewa Kimuli, and Angela Kiamba, nominee for appointment as members of the Waterman Municipal Board, laid on the table of the Assembly on 5th March 2024. This Assembly adopts the report on Committee on Lands and Urban Planning on vetting of Engineer Patrick Mutuku Mutua, nominee for appointment as a member of Emali Sultan Ahmud Municipal Board, laid on the table of the Assembly on 5th March 2024.
Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
Chairperson, Committee on Water and Sanitation to respond to a statement regarding the inappropriate disposal of wastewater within Emali Sultan Ahmud Municipality and other parts in this county, as was requested by member for Emali Mulala Ward, Honorable Cosmas Kaleli.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as earlier we had debated on the same statement in the first session of today, the morning session, we have received an additional response this afternoon from the department. However, we have not adopted it as a committee. So I would request that you give us guidance whether we should first go from, because we didn't have enough time to sit and adopt the report, you should give us guidance whether we should table it as it is, or we'll be given time and table it tomorrow in the afternoon.
Member for member from Lale Mali, what?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think now, Honorable Speaker, you can rightly see why I insisted for the first report, because shortly after that report had been presented here, now, which was not too satisfactory, now another report is coming out, which is dated 5th of March. Honorable Speaker, it means we must use extra force to push for information. Honorable Speaker, I have no problem with the report being brought or tabled tomorrow, but I would wish you allow I do some contribution about the respondent, where the department had raised some concerns and had transferred some of the activities or functions to the Department of Environment and Climate Change. Honorable Speaker, because in the response that the department said that it was not aware about whether there were those challenges that had been raised, which was a clear communication that there is, Honorable Speaker, in this response, Honorable Speaker, that which was brought to the committee today, on 5th. Mr. Speaker, in the first response, if I might just do a bit of contribution, they are saying that the report should be from the Directorate of Environment and Climate Change. Honorable Speaker, if I remind the members, the Committee on Water and Sanitation, maybe because matters concerning sanitation are purely functions of the committee. Or if you will allow me, Honorable Speaker, because I can see similar responses, because activities being transferred to another department, I would wish to maybe to remind the committee, which is termed as the water and sanitation, the sanitation part. In the definition, sanitation, Honorable Speaker, refers to the promotion of hygiene and cleanliness to prevent the spread of diseases, typically through proper disposal of waste and clean water access and proposal hygiene. That Department of Water and Sanitation, Honorable Speaker, it is the umbrella department that deals with the water companies, whether Kimawasco, whether Huawasco, whichever water company. My key, Honorable Speaker, just a bit to deal with the WASCO, the WASCO part of it. The WASCO, which if you break down, the WA means water. The H stands for sewage. And the CO stands for company, which means then that department, which has authority over all those water companies, has a duty over or to deal with the sewage. Honorable Speaker, if then I have to define what sewage stands for, perhaps for the committee membership to understand properly that it is a role of that docket. And sewage perhaps refers to wastewater, from households and industries that contains a mixture of liquids and solids, including human waste, and is typically carried away through a system of pipes or channels. So Mr. Speaker.
Order, Chairperson. What is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, sir, is a member in order to stand to lecture committee members who are professionally and fit placed in that particular committee, to purport that like they don't understand what they are doing, yet is expecting answers from the same committee. He is the member in order.
Member for Elima.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order member from Raleigh Mali. Member for Elima. Were you in the morning session? Up to until when we were debating this matter before we conclude the meetings to noon. So therefore that forms the basis why you may not understand the background. So this statement has been carried forward because I'm bringing you up to speed. So if you speak, you will go toward west, we could be towards south. The department has said that the responsibility of wastewater is not theirs, it's for another department. Listening to the member carefully is proving to you what is called as WASCO, which is under Department of Water. It has an aspect of water, it has an aspect of sewerage, it has an aspect of company. He still insists that is the responsibility of the Department of Water and Sanitation. According to the response by the department, they are saying the responsibility of management of wastewater is for the Department of Environment and Climate Change. Then unless you have an answer to help him not to take too long. So go ahead and answer that question for us.
Mr. Speaker, that way, if that's the case, and that's the background of the whole matter, the member is in order. However, I would be surprised if any member within a committee which has the docket of water in this Magoan County can stand to say sewerage and water are divided. That should be the first mistake. But if that's the route, then well and good. Let the member continue and educate the members so that they may have the goodness of the benefit of doubt.
If you were in, you would be as surprised as he is. Proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. You were up a lot at times. And
I have asked you to proceed from the point where you are.
Honorable Speaker,
please don't mess. You need support of everyone. Don't run to everybody.
I thank the member. Now he's informed. Honorable Speaker, what I'm trying to liberate or is to approve how those functions lie under that docket, that Department of Water and Sanitation. That's why I'm bringing in the element of sanitation and sewage, so that we can be at par. Honorable Speaker, because I would not wish us to go to the entire response if one is not perfectly responded. Maybe I would wish a response from the committee. They sought clarity from the ECM to know or to inform the House whether they do not know their roles and functions, or two, whether that function of the sanitation and sewage should be moved from or transferred from that docket or Department of Water and Sanitation to another department. Because to my understanding, those purely and squarely lies within that docket. So, Honorable Speaker, if that is responded to, then we will be able to address the other concerns. If one is not perfectly responded, it is clear that what is contained in the document is not a response to my concerns. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
So the first question is whether the department is aware that there is inappropriate disposal of wastewater across the county. Is that the question?
Yes, Honorable Speaker.
And the response by the Department of Water and Sanitation is?
Just as it is,
they are not aware?
They are not aware.
So what are you seeking to know? That if the department responsible for sanitation, for water and sewage, according to your breakdown and dichotomy of OWASCO, for example,
if
they do not know,
if they don't know,
then it is either we are in the wrong department or the department is handling the wrong function.
Exactly. If they are not aware, Honorable
Speaker. So you
Speaker,
don't want us to proceed to two?
It doesn't have meaning if they don't respond to one perfectly. So they must talk whether they are aware, whether it is their function, and if it is not their function, then we understand to what department it will be transferred to, so that we can seek responses from that department. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Madam Chair, the member is very categorical. The first statement is whether the department is aware or not. The department, as indicated, is not aware. The member has gone ahead to say that the department that is saying is not aware is the department responsible for the water and sewerage company in this county. And it is called Department of Water and Sanitation. And sanitation has to do with the sewering. So if that department is not aware, we cannot proceed with question number 2, 3, and 4. We could be dealing with the wrong department. So what is your position on that? Question 1.
Honorable Speaker, now you agree with me that that is same reason why we were requesting for more time, because the responses that we are getting from the department were not satisfactory. And even the response that we have received now, if the member has a copy, they are still evading the same question of whether the sanitation part falls under the docket of water committee or water department. If I can just give a preview of what they have responded to for that question 1, they have said that they have attached a letter to the Directorate of Environment and Climate requesting for what the member was asking for about the DTF in Sultan Hamud. And that is now evading that DTF does not fall under the water docket. If you see the response these now are the additional responses that we have received this afternoon.
What is a DTF? Decentralized treatment facility.
Yes.
To treat wastewater drawn from septic tanks.
Yes. No, as in for sewerage disposal, everything that is under disposal.
Which ordinarily 90% will come from septic tanks.
Yes.
Where you do not have a sewer lines, you have that wastewater contained in concrete underground tanks where it can be extracted
or
and
treated.
Disposed.
Yes.
So member from Lale Mali say that is within the chain of bringing water to town and storing it, evacuating that water and disposing to a decentralized treatment facility, because you do not have a sewerage facility. A sewerage, which is a system, then you develop a decentralized for semi-urban and suburbs. That's the point.
Yes.
So in your own understanding, where does the responsibility of wastewater management lie? In the Department of Water and Sanitation or in the Department of Environment?
Under the Department of Water and Sanitation.
Fair
and
enough.
That's why we did not agree with the department when they are evading the responsibility.
Fair enough.
So, Mr. Speaker, since even all of the response that we have received this afternoon, although we have not sat as a committee to adopt it, you need your guidance, because you know the questions that the member had already raised, they are also evading as if they follow under different departments and not Water and Sanitation Department.
I hear you.
Thank you.
You are concurring with the member that the department is yet to admit that the functions of wastewater and sanitation, its function, yes, even when the department is named Department of Water and Sanitation. And therefore, unless you agree on question 1, it will not be possible for them to answer question 2, 3, and 4. So what you want is to locate where that function falls, so that then you may deal with that person or transfer the statement from the Committee on Water to Committee on Environment. Is that the case? Yes. So may we do this, honorable members? You wish to speak? Honorable members, Chair, take your seat. You speaking on environment?
Exactly.
Go ahead. Member from Zambani Vigoni?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I've been following on that discussion from the member for Emali, who seems to be, Mr. Speaker, like fighting for his people but cannot get answers. And Mr. Speaker, from the committee, that where the answers should be coming from. And Mr. Speaker, when you listen to the chair and the sentiments that are coming from the executive, that they are not aware, where the sanitation falls. While, as you put it clearly, Mr. Speaker, even the name of the department clearly says Water and Sanitation Department, Mr. Speaker. And now my concern is, who has been dealing with sanitation, for the last 1 year, if it is not that department? So, Mr. Speaker, it's a general concern because there are several wards with the same probably aspect of sanitation, but it's important we get to know which department has been dealing with such. Thank you.
Be brief.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I think this is just information I'm sharing for the sake of our colleagues so that they can be armed when they go to face the real people who are supposed to do this work. According to the standing orders, number 215, the said function had been placed under climate change and environment. But when we came in, during the alignment of the functions of the government, it was moved to water. When you read the standing orders which you have at the moment, which needs to be upgraded and which already we had presented here, having upgraded, they refer that function under climate and change. But as we are talking, it is no longer resting there. Even when people went to look at how sewerage is treated, the DTF, the Climate and Change Committee did not go. It is the Committee of Water which went for this particular function and the lands. So in this context, we are in agreement and they need to be armed with this information to tell those who are supposed to run with the function that they are not doing the right thing to
Lastly, member for Cascade Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, I think in the morning section you had given direction that I be provided with some copies of what had happened previously. I had brought a statement about the DTF at Sultan Hamud, and I told you that it was funded with the 10 millions. And then the money was ushered to the Mali Sultan Hamud municipality, and then later it was transferred to other sectors, of which I learned later. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to know maybe what is happening through your wisdom, because my people are still suffering. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I have received a copy of response to your earlier statement. I don't know the chairperson you have it, but for information of members dated July 2023, where the Committee on Water responded as follows, that Kenyan shillings 10 million has been allocated for the developing the Mali Sultan Hamud Municipality Integrated Development Plan 2023-24 budget, since funds from Cascade Ward allocation may not have been sufficient to undertake such works. Other sources of funding are being sought. The construction of a sewer system, since the issue of sewerage system is in the town, is to be solved once and for all in a Mali Sultan Municipality Integrated Development Plan. It is not very clear whether this 10 million was for Mali Sultan Municipality or was meant for the DTF. But I think I have directed this matter to be presented to our budget office to establish where this allocation, whether it was for municipality or was under municipality for DTF. So allow us to deal with that, and you get an answer tomorrow. So that we proceed. So, Chairperson, may I direct that you seek to know, firstly, because you may not progress, you seek to know from the committee with immediate effect to give us a clarification as to whose responsibility is it to execute functions of sanitation and wastewater, what we are discussing. Only then we will be able to make progress and save time. You see, this statement was raised sometimes in December. We are in March, and the department is taking you round and round, as you've indicated. So I'm giving you up to Monday at 2:30 to answer that very simple question as requested by member for Polala Imali. That define question 1, the rest of the questions will be dealt with. Is that in order?
Lunch.
Fair enough. Next order, not next order. Chairperson of Committee on Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries and Corporate Development to respond to statement regarding lack of agroecology policy in the county as was requested by Honorable Janet Kitunga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Article 185(3) of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, Section 39, Part 2 of the County Government Act 2012, and the Standing Order 54 of the Makueni County Assembly Standing Orders during the second sitting of the County Assembly held on 16th October 2023, Honorable Janet Kitunga requested for a statement regarding the lack of agroecology policy in the county. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Speaker directed that the chairperson of the Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Food Security to avail a response regarding the lack of an agroecology policy in the county to the County Assembly within 14 days. Honorable Speaker, when we talk about agroecology, we really, what the Honorable Member wanted to know is we're talking about new farming methods where you increase yield while reducing environmental impact. In a nutshell, that is what agroecology means. So it is an holistic and integrated approach that studiously applies ecological and social concepts and the principles to the design and management of sustainable agriculture and food systems, It seeks to optimize the interactions between plants, animals, human, and the environment, while also addressing the need for social, equitable food systems within which people can exercise choice over what they eat and how and where it is produced. Overall, integrating agroecology into county agricultural matters brings forth multiple benefits, including environmental sustainability, food security, economic opportunities, community well-being, and resilience in the face of global challenges. Mr. Speaker, some of the challenges that our county may face due to lack of a policy to address matters regarding county agroecology includes, but not limited to the following: limited support for sustainable agriculture practices, environmental degradation, health risks associated with pesticide residues, and chemical exposure. Local food production challenges, missed economic opportunities, knowledge and capacity gaps, and limited collaboration and networking. Honorable Speaker, the development of a county policy on agroecology will address the highlighted challenges and in particular promote and enhance agroecosystem health, including biodiversity, biological cycle, and social biological activity, encourage uptake of organic farming and organic products of at least 30% in the county, inform, train, and educate the residents of the county on the benefits of organic farming and quality control mechanisms, ensure that organic produce of the county meet the quality standards and regulations of the international markets, integrate organic production courses and farming units in technical training institutes across the county, and encourage research and partnership with international, regional, and national stakeholders in developing natural pesticides and herbicides. Mr. Speaker, what the honorable member wanted the chairperson to clarify is: one, whether the department has developed a county policy on agroecology, and if not, what plans does the department have in place to develop the county policy, and when will it be submitted to the county assembly for approval? Mr. Speaker, in consideration of the response, the committee did a letter. The reference is COM 3CA Agriculture 2023/08, dated 17th October, and it is attached here to the executive committee member for the Department of Agriculture, Irrigation, Livestock, Fisheries, and Cooperative Development. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the response, the ECM responded in a letter which has a reference GMC ILFD ECM Volume 4/41, dated 23rd October. The committee considered the response and hereby wishes to respond as follows. One, whether the department has developed a county policy on agroecology. The response is the department has not developed a policy on agroecology. And the other question was, if not, what plans does the department have in place to develop the county policy, and when will it be submitted to the county assembly for approval? Now, the county is in the process of partnering with Participatory Ecological Land Use Management, PELAM, Kenya, to promote agroecological farming practices in the county. Part of the activities envisaged under the partnership, when the same is executed, is development of a policy on agroecology for the county. Further, the department has nominated an officer to spearhead the agroecology agenda in the county, and who is currently, that is the 23rd to 26th October 2023, was attending a peer-to-peer learning activity on the same in Nairobi. The officer will be able to learn from other participating, or rather was to learn from other participating counties, including Meru, Murang'a, Vihiga, Kiambu, and Tharaka Nithi. Since the development of a policy requires wide consultation with relevant stakeholders, The department requested for 2 months so as to report progress regarding the matter by end of December 2023. Mr. Speaker, however, at the end of 2023, the executive committee member had not responded, which prompted the committee to do a reminder letter dated 10th January 2024, where the executive committee member responded a letter dated 16th January 2024 as follows. The department considered the county assembly proposal to develop Makueni County policy on agroecology and took note of the importance of agroecology as cross-cutting theme in agriculture and in the changing climate, which is significantly impacts agricultural development. The key principles and elements of agroecology include biodiversity. That is, agroecology emphasizes the importance of biodiversity in farming system. Diverse ecosystems are often more resilient to pests, diseases, and environmental changes. The ecological process, it seeks to mimic and work with natural ecological processes rather than relying heavily on external inputs such as synthetic fertilizers and pesticides. Soil health, agroecology prioritizes soil health and fertility through practices like cover cropping, crop rotation, and the use of organic matter to improve soil structure and nutrient content. In water management, there is efficient water use and conservation, which are important aspects of agroecology, including techniques such as rainwater harvesting and drip irrigation. On social and cultural factors, agroecology considers social and cultural dimensions, aiming to enhance community engagement, local knowledge, and equitable distribution of resources. For resilience, agroecological systems are designed to be resilient in the face of environmental challenges, climate change, and other stresses. Sustainability. The overarching goal of agroecology is to create sustainable agricultural systems that are environmentally friendly, economically viable, and socially just. Agroecology can be practiced in various ways, including organic farming, permaculture, agroforestry, and other sustainable agricultural approaches. The integration of ecological principles into agriculture is seen as a way, Mr. Speaker, sir, the ECM further added that at the national level, agroecology matters are covered under Section 3.21 on agriculture in a changing climate within the agriculture policy of 2021, while at the county level, agroecology is covered under Section 3.29 on land resource management and climate change mitigation in the Makueni County Agriculture and Livestock Policy 2021. The county government is on course in implementation and operationalization of these policy objectives. In the view of the department, incorporation of agroecology and other cross-cutting agriculture-related themes within the main Makueni County Agriculture and Livestock Policy is adequate for now. And there is no immediate need to develop a separate agroecology policy. Further, the department appreciates the collaboration, support, and insight from the County Assembly Committee with regards to matters agricultural legislation. Mr. Speaker, the committee considered the response from the ECM and found it satisfactory since the above quoted legislations, both national and the county level, currently are addressing the gap necessitated by lack of the policy in the county. So, Mr. Speaker, the committee hereby presents the response to the statement regarding the lack of agroecology policy in the county to the County Assembly for consideration.
Also the statement. Requester.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity, and I thank the committee for our work well done. Mr. Speaker, I'm impressed to know that there is a national level agroecology legislation which is addressing the need for an agroecology policy. And further, I also understand that at the county level, there is also an agroecology which is covered under Section 3.29 on land resource management and climate change mitigation, the Makueni County Agriculture and Livestock Policy of 2021. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would urge the committee to ensure these policies are operationalized, because they are wonderful policies which will ensure that our agriculture is environmental friendly. Our people have gotten enough training, Mr. Speaker. We have taken good care of our biodiversity. So, Mr. Speaker, the ball is in our court to ensure these policies are operationalized. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the response.
Chairperson, for purposes of constitutional following the law, this county government has passed many policies. Youth, education, ICT, public participation. Is that to say that there are no corresponding national policies on areas where the county government has passed policies? So if that is to go by, and your president is to go by, then it means we wasted a lot of resources to domesticate policies in the context of the county government instead of relying on the national policy. Because your submission is that there is no need, because there's a national policy, we need not to develop our policies, but just rely on the national policy, particularly that section, I don't know what. We have approved ICT policy, public participation policy, education policy, there is water policy, there is, I think even the Kalamba itself has a policy, and all these, there is national ICT policy, there is national public participation policy, there is national education policy, there is national water policy. But that notwithstanding, our water here in Makueni and its policy is a little bit detailed on what we want to do. Public participation may be in a certain principle national, but at the county level, Makueni is different from Wajir. And Nairobi City Council public participation policy may be different, because the public participation in the city county is digital. Public participation in Makueni, you have to physically engage people under a tree. So while respecting the principle of public participation, the forms of public participation policy will vary. So do we take it from you that it is not important to domesticate, and now this is a Makueni agroecological policy and rely on the national?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we're not saying that we rely on the national policy, but for this particular agroecology, if you look at it holistically, you realize that there is very little that we need to add, because it's like the same country over, using the national one, because it's matters of livestock. If it is livestock, you have livestock in the northeastern regions or counties, you have livestock. So, Honorable Speaker, it will be just a duplication.
It's not a duplication. If then it follows, then without saying, we needed not to spend resources in domesticating public participation policy from Makueni, education policy, water policy, ICT policy. I don't know whether we have ECD policy. We passed more than 20 of them, respecting every function in the account, so that they can influence our legislation. Because, to take you back, we have livestock, but we don't keep camels. We have livestock, but we don't have an airport at the moment. We plant trees in Makueni, but we don't do grapes. We don't do some sort. We do mangoes and oranges. We have our high altitudes, middle and lower. We have irrigation in Adi. There are counties that do not practice. So when you domesticate a policy, you take into consideration the reality. Now, I think the member, Matches, was asking that it will not be admissible to this House to accept that whereas we have a national health policy, at one point, Makueni County had a policy where if you pay 100 shillings or 500 shillings, you walk in hospital and you treated, you go home. In Machakos, it was completely different. You had to walk in and pay. Whereas we had an NHIF policy, Makueni domesticated its policy and managed affairs a different way. So aware of that, I am persuaded as a Speaker of this House that imagining that there's a national policy and that we need not to domesticate our policy, then that will amount to either laxity or lack of will, or are we lazy? I mean, I can tell you the livestock policy in Kajiado is completely different. They are nomadics. In Northeastern, they are different. In Kisumu, their policy starts with fish. Define what is a fish. Now, in our livestock policy, we may not even define it. You may find it as a paragraph. Because policy is what will influence our legislation and influence our budget and priorities. And that's the point. Are you getting my point? And therefore, we cannot say the national agriculture policy, which touches on fish, which is under aquatic life, which touches on plant, which touches on soya, which touches on NEM, including coffee, tea. I mean, we don't need tea. We need to find a way of addressing our coffee, our mangoes, our livestock, our goats, our dairy. I mean, that is it. I'm persuaded as a Speaker that the statement that there is no need for policy is inadmissible and against the spirit of devolution, and therefore an attempt to claw back the fruits of devolution back to the city. If anything, then we don't need a County Water Act, and we don't need a ATC Act. There is an act on agricultural training and carry. The Carry Act, Carro Act is sufficient to cover us at Kwakabaka. Are you getting? So we have out of the national policy every county to domesticate. We have one president, but we have 47 presidents. We have one Speaker of the National Assembly, and we have 47 speakers, 47 parliament, 47 budgets, 47 policies in agriculture, 47 policies in education. I mean, that must be the presidency. I think I'm a quarterly read of the Constitution. I'm persuaded to disagree.
Honorable Speaker, we are well guided, and we request now you give us time as a committee. We go through the national policy, and then we'll get back.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
just go back and research on the principle of counties developing policies on functions that are devolved, because we cannot make a legislation where there is no policy, and that function has been devolved. Agriculture is devolved 99% of it. One is national, because of the uniqueness of agriculture. So just research around that, and you will find that it is important that there is no way agriculture department will be different from water and other departments, health policy. Let's find out, and convince the Waziri that she will need to tell us what is doing.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We are well advised.
Agroecological policy is simply to say that in Mali, they don't plant anything. They plant shops, but they need food. So you need irrigation around Mwoni to supply food for eating, so that then when you go to Kilungu, you need a lot of nduma, and you need a lot of avocados so that they can supply the city of water. Whereas Kadonzweni, we need to improve on livestock and goats to supply meat to Kilungu, so that then people of Lower Makueni do not focus on growing maize. They grow what? They grow ndengu and a little bit of livestock. Then it means then the legislation and budgets will be based and biased. Then at the mid-level, they do some sort of bango without populating with maize and pixies. Then the department is able now to say, and the representatives from those areas and zoning, you may call the high hill areas peoples, all the way up to Mboni, Kalawa, Kitise, all the way up to Kambu. And you can have a conference, and I can tell you the first discussion will be, how are your goats? How are my goats? How is your ndengu? It's as simple as that. I mean, Whereas those in Kibwezi West, they are discussing about animal-wildlife conflict and maximizing on tourism. I mean, that's what we need to discuss, including expanding our livestock yard on the side of Makueni in Emali so that we get revenue. It's strategic positioning. We have no business to discuss tea. There's no single plan for tea. And then a little bit of macadamia in Boni Ward. Yeah. Emali, you are not tired?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. A quick one. Honorable Speaker, as entails in Article 174 of the Constitution 2010, one of the functions of devolution was to bring services closer to the people, including those of the devolved functions. Now that agriculture is devolved, and we have a legislation house where we can make local laws to address local challenges and to address local interests. That's saying that we need local or count policies to govern the local agriculture, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, there is the essence of doing or having our local policies. For example, we have the Katonzweni milk plant, which up to date, after spending millions of money, because of lack of feasibility study, it is not utilized, Honorable Speaker. We want to understand that if you come to Emali, Mulala Ward, the interest of the locals there and the farming is purely on mains. So anything addressing mains should be done locally. In Upper Boni, we deal with macadamias and coffee. So those local crops ought to have local laws. The national legislation is general for the entire nation. That is just enough information, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Next order. What's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I stand on a point of order, standing order number 50, sabbatical part 3, that I make plea to you to allow me to issue a general statement on the floor on a matter which is really affecting the people of Makueni seriously.
Standing order number?
50, sabbatical 3.
Go ahead.
Mr. Speaker.
Which states?
Which states that after the statements which are appearing on the order paper, the Speaker may, through prayer, allow a member on this floor to issue a general statement which is affecting and which is pertinent to the people of Makueni or to the people who are actually suffering under urgency. In this context, I stand under the same standing order, if you allow me, that I may make a statement of an issue which just has appeared to me, and it has been crisscrossing the whole count.
What is it?
The issue is that, Mr. Speaker, sir, you know, we have revenue officers on the ground.
Is it related to what? Can you just make...
It's related to revenue collection.
What is the urgency in revenue?
The urgency in it is that, Mr. Speaker, as we are talking now, we have revenue officers under RRI who are confiscating goods of people in the shops because simply they have not paid their licenses. Yet we are not yet at 31st of March, which is actually the cutoff point for the people upon receiving the invoice. It has happened in Elema at Moani.
Order member, you were making an application.
Yes.
I have not given you any go ahead to prove that in the opinion of the Speaker that the matter is urgent. That's why I was asking you what it is about.
Yes.
So your point is that there is confiscation of goods.
Yes.
And the time period
of the payment of the invoice, which is usually supplied, is supposed to be that first of this month.
Yes.
And the shopkeepers are aware. But without being even told, people have just, the way I've been told
okay,
is that...
fine. You have persuaded me. Proceed.
So, Mr. Speaker, I stand to make a statement to the Department of Finance, or the Chair of Finance Committee, on the matter of collection of the revenue. Mr. Speaker, you bear me witness that a government which is viable is a government for the people, with the people, for the people, and in the people. In this context, the government of Makueni is known to be a government of the people under the acrimony of Waonwa Kaneza na Ulungalu, which is a rallying call for our governor in this Makueni County. However, as much as the people are struggling to support the government of Makueni, there are some of the things which are happening from within the government which are somehow affecting the motivation of the good citizens to support the government of Makueni. And one of these things is actually coming in under the issue of revenue collection, whereby historically we have had several areas where people walk in and confiscate goods of our own good people. One full example is at a place called Gideoni, where we have a case in the police. Revenue collection officers went and carried the legal goods from a good client by the name Mwelu in Gideoni. Another one happened at a place called Musalala, where people also walked in and they carried the carpentry materials and the carpentry tools for the people within that particular market. As we are talking now, yesterday it happened at Mwani, whereby the whole market, a vehicle entered in with 5 gentlemen from the revenue officer, led by one good person, Evans, from this government, and they have collected merchandise, goods of people, confiscated them, and gone with them. One good client or one good person went and reported to the police. The OCS called them and told them to return these goods by the end of today. If they don't, they'll be arrested. That has not happened. As a representative of Wilima, I felt this is very important for me to make this statement that I may ask, is the ECM or the department aware that the revenue officers are going around confiscating people's goods in the pretext of collecting revenue? And if yes, what have they done against such heinous act, which is against the law? Because the law does not quantify anybody to take another one's material or good forcefully by any chance, by any method. If no, why is it that is happening under their docket and they have not yet been able to know and notice this particular act? Second question, what strategies have they put in place as a department so that they can ensure maximum collection of revenue without necessarily hurting the people who are supporting the government? And if these strategies are viable and they're not, they're there, then why is it that this seems to be a thorn in the flesh for the people? And finally, is the department prepared, or do we have any law within our count of the laws which are passed here, which they are anchoring their activities on? That way, I think our people will be safe from this kind of thing. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Any member to contribute on that subject? Is this a peculiar case to Ilima? Member for Blale Maliwood.
Honorable Speaker, I feel for the member and the good traders from Ilima Ward. Only 2 weeks ago, Honorable Speaker, I had brought some similar complaints where a trader was seriously harassed by the Count Enforcement Department, that Department of Devolution, and the revenue collecting officers. Truly, the governor in his press release, in his statement, he said that Makueni County government is a friendly government. It is a government that cares for the people. We would wish the employees, or specifically on that department on revenue and the enforcement officers, to respect the governor's sentiments on the relationship between us and the people. Because if we harass our traders who are raising funds to fund our budgets, we discourage them from trade within our county. That harassment, Honorable Speaker, we would not allow it to happen to our traders. We must stand for traders. We must ensure that our government is friendly. And by so doing, I just feel for what is happening in Lima, and to report that it happened to my ward, I had to work extra, including visiting the Office of the Finance, and the matter was dealt. The people lack information. I wish the department can take those revenue officers for training on how to handle their clients who are the good traders within our county. Because that crap is just within the poor approach between our officers and our traders.
Fair enough.
So Honorable Speaker, I just felt for the member and just reporting that it happened in my ward some weeks ago.
Member for Zawi Kilili-Kalamba Ward, Honorable Francis Mutuku.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, I stand in solidarity with the member for Ilima. And Mr. Speaker, in fact, some days ago, we visited Nzio and there was such a complaint. And today I went to Ndovea, a certain place within my ward, and also Kilili, the same complaint also arose. So Speaker, we are really perturbed by this kind of treatment. And I think I've given the concerned a warning, because we are the lawmakers. We are supposed to make the laws through public participation and other processes. And the Speaker, I think it's not in order for the enforcement officers to go along harassing our people. In fact, one of the traders said that his chapatis were confiscated and some chairs. And when he went for both, actually the chapatis were missing, Mr. Speaker. I had to give a warning to the enforcement officers because actually that is against the law. And Mr. Speaker, I believe even the governor and even the government, where we are serving all of us, will not allow such a thing. So I just feel for my friend here, the member for Ilima, but it's good that he has brought the matter to the fore so that we can discuss it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, in the interest of time, we will hold at that. I am notified that the deadline for such activity is 31st of March of every year. It's presumed that their notices and operations should run smoothly, and those that do not obey the law, then there are provisions within the Finance Act on how to deal with it. Now, aware of the issue that has been raised by a member for Ilima is properly provided for in the Standing Order number 50, Suborder 3, which provides as follows, that despite paragraph 3 of the Standing Order number 49, which is on notices of request for statements, the Speaker may allow a member to also request for a statement which, in the opinion of the Speaker, is of an urgent character or relates to exceptionally important issues of concern to the people, in which case the statement may be requested at a time before the expiry of 7 days and need not to be published in the order paper. I'm persuaded by the sentiments raised by a member for Ilima, and therefore I direct that you formally draft your statement and be conveyed to the County Executive Committee member responsible for finance and committee member responsible for devolution, to the Chief Officer responsible for revenue collection, and a copy to His Excellency the Governor and the Deputy Governor. Chairperson Committee on Finance, you have a responsibility to report back to this House at the earliest time next week on the status. Meanwhile, if indeed what member for Ilima has raised is to go by that what is happening is illegal, then it follows without saying that any officer who will be found in breach of the law, then it is at today that provision to take action, then it follows without saying, if you do so in outside the framework of the law as an officer, you will take personal responsibility. But before the officers will take personal responsibility, as an assembly, we will ask the respective executive committee member of Finance answerable to this House to take responsibility on any damage or losses. And this is not to encourage citizens of Makueni not to pay or to remit revenue as they are required. But again, it must be done within the framework of law and humanity. And therefore, that is why we have a devolution. For those who do not want to comply with the law, then enforcement is necessary. But enforcement cannot be on anybody and everybody if what you've stated is to go by. Chairperson Finance and Office of the Clerk, you are directed. We need that matter to be handled. That notwithstanding, if there is a member who has an issue, the leader of the majority and the leader of the government business, if there is a member who has an issue that he feels that may not wait for the response for that statement, please, leader of the majority, you will get the respective concern and convey them to the executive, pending hearing and determination of this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, much obliged. Indeed, in that spirit of oneness and one love, Mr. Speaker, it is His Excellency the Governor himself who said, despite that we need to collect revenue, let us behave. Let us use the PR exercise very well. And of course, let us talk to those traders because the things are difficult. The pockets are empty. We are working under very difficult circumstances. You know, the taxes that are being done, Mr. Speaker, are so much. So therefore, it is only good for us to talk to these people, Mr. Speaker, nicely. And for those who really don't to pay, then they will be dealt with according to the law, Mr. Speaker. If this is not the government where trousers are pulled down, Mr. Speaker, we do not want any trouser or anybody, the trousers to be pulled down like we see in other places, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I will convey the message as directed. I thank you.
Honorable members, I have the following communication to make. This refers to visit by students and teachers from Kiauni Day and Boarding School and GSS. I wish to recognize the presence of the Speaker's Gallery, teachers and parents and pupils of Kiauni Day and Boarding GSS School. They are here on a visit to the County Assembly to learn about the operations and the roles of the County Assembly in the context of the county government as provided in the Constitution of Kenya. Honorable members, as the teachers and the pupils by their names, and if I call upon your name, please you stand. Them is Christopher Kitua, the head teacher, who also serves as the Kenya Union of Teachers, Kibwezi branch, popularly known as Kifaru. 2, Justus Muli, who is a teacher, Richard Kioli, who is a teacher, Irene Mutua, the teacher, Stephen Mutisia, who is a teacher. Honorable members, the most important in my public gallery is Her Excellency, the President of Kiauni Day and Boarding Second School, Honorable Joyce Muse. Her Excellency, the Governor of Kiauni Day and Boarding JSS, Patience Peter. And His Excellency, the Governor of Kiauni Day and Boarding JSS, Bryson Charlie. For information of the students and teachers, the Constitution of Kenya provides for 47 county governments. The 47 county governments are comprised of county executive and county assembly. The county executive includes the governor, deputy governor, county executive committee members, and county government officers serving under the executive arm of the government, whose responsibilities are to implement laws as passed by this county assembly through a legislation process, and 2, implementation of national laws to the extent that national laws are applicable in the county governments. 2, the Constitution of Kenya provides for county assemblies of parliament, Assembly is comprised of elected members of the county assembly. In this case, member for Kikumbulu North Ward, Honorable Jackson Bal, a second term member of a county assembly, and a former aspirant, the larger Kibwezi constituency, as a member of parliament. And 2, nominated members of the county assembly for purposes of equalizing gender and special interests and marginalizing the county assembly. The county assembly is presided over by the Speaker of the county assembly. Honorable members, the responsibilities of county assembly is to make laws, to represent the people. In this case, the member for Kikumbulu North Ward, Honorable Mbalu, is here to represent the Kiaoni and the residents of Kiaoni and their welfare, in that process making laws and in ensuring that their preferences and their wishes are provided for in the budgets and in their project where he exercises oversight on the implementation. On behalf of the County Assembly of Makueni, I wish to welcome the teachers and pupils to this fruitful visit. You are so welcome. Thank you very much. Member for Kikumbulu North Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I take this opportunity to welcome students from Kiaoni Day Boarding JSS, led by none other but Mr. Kitua Elias Kifaru, a great friend of mine. This is a school, Mr. Speaker, which did well in their examination, and I'm so proud of them, and I'm so proud to be associated with this school. It is in my ward, and they are very close to my heart. Mr. Speaker, within my operations, they are getting piped water anytime soon, because, Mr. Speaker, they sent me here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Feel welcome, we'll talk more. Thank you.
Member for Thanke Ward.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I take this opportunity to welcome students of Kiaoni Primary School to this assembly. Honorable Speaker, when I was coming from lunch, I met the head teacher, who is Mr. Christopher Elias Kifaru, and I thought he was from, the school was in Masongaleni Ward. And that's the reason we had a bit of confusion. Then I consulted with my colleague from Kikumbulu North, and now I can confirm that they are from Kikumbulu North. So students, you are well represented by your MCA, and also, Mr. Speaker, Kifaru is one of the best teachers in our area, and that's the reason he's the chairman, KNAT. So, karibuni sana. Thank you.
Member for Kaske Ward.
Yeah, honor goes to you, Mr. Speaker, sir. And in a state of jubilation, I am very much happy to welcome the students and the pupils from Kiaoni Primary School, which is being led by Mr. Kitua, who happened to be my teacher at Kaskeo Secondary School. Thumb up, Mr. Kitua. I know you'll take that school very far. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, we are running short of time. The order paper is very fast. I'll give each of you a minute. Honorable Fiametta, Honorable Cosmas Mutunga, and lastly, Honorable Francis Mutuku. In that order, proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me take this opportunity to welcome the teachers and I don't know now in the junior secondary whether they are students or pupils, but can I call them students, all of them, to this honorable house. I've known the head teacher, Mr. Kitua. I think he will become an honorable member one day. I'm tempted to call you an honorable member. I've known Mr. Kitua since I was a teacher, and when other teachers were moving, secondary school teachers were moving to Kupet, I remained in NAT. And I know him as a man of integrity and good leadership. So students and teachers, I know you're in safe hands as you come to learn here and as you continue learning in your school. You have the best leader and teacher. And great leaders are made by other leaders. So one day, one time, you'll be seated here or the National Assembly following the steps, because the impartation of the great leadership that Mr. Kitua will give you will take you far. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member from Lale Mali Ward, Honorable Cosmas Kaleli.
Honorable Speaker, Kihaoni is in Kibwezi West. I wish to welcome them and appreciate the leadership of that initiative. At our times, we only heard about Speaker Ole Kaparu in the local stations. Now we hear about Speaker Mbilu. We thank God for the new constitution. You brought us a very sharp, focused leader, our chair in health. Thank you, and welcome once more.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I take this opportunity to welcome the students of Kihaoni Primary School. We have an history with Kitua. We met sometimes in 1994 at Kazekeo Secondary School. And I'm surprised Nzai might have been my student, because at that time, I told Honorable Musau, I told Honorable the Member for Parliament, Kilome, in Zambia, among others. So I know Gitwa is well-versed, he's very competent within the education sector, and that is why he has been a leader, and he will remain a leader. Thank you very much for visiting the County Assembly of Makueni and the leadership of the Honorable Speaker Mbilu. I'm sure you've learned something, and you'll go back and tell our students and our other parents how you found Makueni, and you're moving very well. Thank you so much, and welcome again.
Honorable members, I have a plea to make that aware that Kenya National Union of Teachers, the representative body of the teachers in this county and this country, I plead with the leaders of the National Union of Teachers to be on the forefront by bringing the students in the schools that they teach to the county assembly, so that they may know how citizens are better represented in the assembly as they represent teachers. So that then as you represent teachers, the children and parents also get to know where they are represented by their members. Chairman Kitua, please pass that message to the Kenya National Union of Teachers fraternity. Next order.
Order number 8, motion. The report of the Committee on Health Services on the vetting of Dr. Harvey Muley, the nominee for appointment to the position of Chief Officer, Health, Human Resource Management and Administration.
Chairperson Committee on Health Services, Honorable Jackson Mbalu, and the member for Kikumbulu North Ward. You take the microphone at the center, at the front. Today is your day.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move the following motion, that the Assembly adopts the report of the Committee of Health Services on the vetting of Dr. Harvey Muley, the nominee for appointment to the position of Chief Officer, Health, Human Resource Management, Administration, laid on the table of the Assembly on 4th March 2024. Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to the Section 45 of the County Government Act 2012, revised 2020, Section 6 to 11 of the Public Appointments and County Assemblies Approval Act 2017, and Standing Orders 217.5 of the County Assembly Standing Orders, His Excellency the Governor, Honorable Mutula Kilonzo, Jr., nominated Dr. Harvey Muley Mbidi for appointment as the County Chief Officer, Health, Human Resource Management and Administration under the Department of Health Services. His Excellency the Governor conveyed the nomination of the name to the Speaker of the County Assembly via a letter referred GMC/GVN/ADM/CAS/25 Volume 367 dated 14th December 2023, together with the nominees' testimonials. Pursuant to the provisions of Section 7.1 of the Public Appointments County Assemblies Approval Act 2017, The Honorable Speaker read the message to the Count Assembly during its fourth sitting held on 14th February 2024, communicating the name of the nominee for appointment to the position of Count Chief Officer Health, Human Resource Management and Administration, and thereafter referred the name to the Committee on Health Services for vetting and reporting to the Assembly within 21 days. Mr. Speaker, sir, subsequently, in accordance with Section 7(4) of the Public Appointments Count Assemblies Approval Act 2017, the clerk of the Count Assembly placed an advertisement in the print media, specifically the Standard News dated 20th February 2024, inviting the nominee for vetting before the Assembly Health Services Committee on Wednesday, 28th February 2024 at 12 p.m. at the Assembly Precinct. In the advertisement, the nominee was asked to carry original copies of the following documents with them for the vetting exercise, namely, 1, curricular data, academic certificates and testimonials, certificates of good conduct from the police, clearance from the Higher Education Loans Board, clearance from the Kenya Revenue Authority, clearance from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Further, the clerk of the County Assembly notified the public to submit memorandums by way of written submissions on all regarding the suitability in support of or against the nominee. The nominee appeared before the committee as scheduled on Wednesday, 28 February 2024 at 12 p.m. for the approval hearings pursuant to the provisions of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, the County Governments Act 2012, the Public Appointments County Assemblies Approval Act 2017, and the County Assembly Standing Orders on its suitability for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer, Health, Human Resource Management and Administration. Pursuant to the Section 7 and 8 of the Public Appointments County Assemblies Approval Act 2017, the committee observed that the nominee had met the following integrity threshold: demonstrated knowledge of topical administrative and technical issues touching on the docket he had been nominated to. The nominee had the requisite abilities, academic qualifications, and professional experience of more than 5 years in a senior management position in the public service as per the advert's requirement to the approval for appointment. The committee, having undertaken its approval hearings pursuant to the provisions of Section 45 of the County Governments Act 2012, revised 2020, Section 6 and 8 of the Public Appointments County Assemblies Approval Act 2017, the Standing Orders 27.5 of the County Assembly Standing Orders, recommends that the Assembly approves the nomination of the Dr. Harvey Mulembidi for appointment as the County Chief Officer, Health, Human Resources Management and Administration. Mr. Speaker, sir, on behalf of the members of Health Service Committee, it is my pleasure and duty to present to this Assembly the committee's report on the vetting of Dr. Harvey Mulembidi, the nominee for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer, Health, Human Resource Management and Administration for consideration and adoption. Acknowledgement. I take this opportunity to thank the members of the Health Service Committee for their commitment, input, and valuable contributions during the vetting exercise. The committee also takes this opportunity to thank the Office of the Speaker and the Clerk for the County Assembly for the technical support accorded to it during the vetting exercise. Mr. Speaker, I request Honorable Muthikond the motion.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand to second the motion on the vetting of the nominee for the position of Chief Officer, Health and Human Resource. In seconding this motion, Honorable Speaker, I would ask the House to pass this motion. As a committee, we went through the vetting exercise. We acknowledge that the nominee was very knowledgeable of the position that he was appointed or nominated to serve, and he demonstrated without doubt that he is able to perform. But as I second this motion, I will repeat what I said during the vetting and what I said before the nominee when we were vetting him, that if he's approved by this county assembly, we will not expect to hear the jokes that we have had around the health services of this county. Honorable Speaker, we will need seriousness. We will need that the health department of this county will perform, and we are not going to undertake and listen to nonsense. And that is what I told the nominee when we were vetting, and I will repeat again here, that we are not going to take any nonsense in matters life of the people of Makueni. Let them function. They have the requisite information about the running of a department. Let them run the department, and let them take a mandate to lead the county of Makueni in the health department without telling us so many other things that we don't want to hear. What is paramount is that we need the people of Makueni treated, and we need the health services of this county at the toppest level that the people would expect. So I would implore members to pass this motion. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, I propose the question for debate, or the motion for debate, that this assembly adopts the report of the Committee on Health Services on the vetting of Dr. Ave Mulei, the nominee for the appointment to the position of the Chief Officer for Human Health Resource Management and Administration, which was laid on the table of the Assembly on 4th of March, year of 2024. The floor is open for debate. Honorable Jackson Dolo, member for Ukia Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me start by also welcoming the teachers and pupils from Kiaoni. Let me also take this opportunity to thank the Committee on Health for the good work they have done on vetting the nominee who was presented to this House by the Governor. I also take this opportunity to thank our Governor in his continuous effort to improve the services in the Department of Health in Makueni, which has been a challenge. I want to believe, based on the committee's report, the nominee, Ave Mulei, is up to the challenge of bringing sanity to the Department of Health. We have had some challenges in the running of the department, and the Governor, in his wisdom, has seen it fit to put some measures so that he can be able to improve the services of health in our hospitals, of which this assembly has been in the forefront to ensure our people get the right services. Therefore, I want to congratulate the member for going through the vetting process, and as the chair, Committee on Health, has presented the report, I want to believe he is going to do a good job. And to second what Honorable Modike has said, this assembly is not going to condone the same issues we have been receiving from our health sector. We want our people to be served, and to be served to the best we expect in our hospitals. We saw previously also the Governor put in place a CEO in our Water River Hospital. This is in his effort to ensure our people get the best. Our Governor wants our people to be served in that Kralion, and we will not entertain the people we are giving them jobs to serve our people to also start joking with the job which we have given them. We want service, and we want service to our people. Thank you very much.
Member for Thanke Ward.
Honorable Speaker, I stand to support, but as a support, Mr. Speaker, I want also to add something on that. Mr. Speaker, I wish the nominee, once he is approved by this assembly, it is good to work with the other CEO and Waziri. The Speaker, today I was sharing some of the photos from my ward of the roads which are done in my ward. And the comments which were done, you have done so much in roads, but the biggest problem with you guys is hospitals. So, Mr. Speaker, as the CEO comes on board, it is good to know that we have a challenge in that department. So once he comes on board, he needs to make sure that those challenges and those issues we have been having in that department, Mr. Speaker, they are sorted. Thank you.
Member for Waters, Honorable Felix Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand to support the motion. And Mr. Speaker, if this is the person to rescue our health facility, Mr. Speaker, so be it, Mr. Speaker. We've had a lot of challenges, and everybody is aware, and especially in our referral hospital. And Mr. Speaker, if he is ready to work, we expect to see change immediately, Mr. Speaker, and we will be watching. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Zawi Clinical Board.
Speaker, I rise to support this report. So, Speaker, it's important to know that actually it is true that most of our dispensaries and health centers do not have medicine. I have talked about a meeting that I held shortly before I came to the assembly, and the chorus was the same. They don't have medicine, no staff. So I think because I know the nominee is well polished in matters of health, so Speaker would wish that he works diligently to solve the problem. Thank you.
Member from Lale Malud.
Honorable Speaker, as I rise to, of course, support the approval of the member, I want to trust that after his approval now, the administrative challenges across the county, because we have serious challenges of administration with that docket, in that docket. Missing staffs in action, people who don't attend to duties as expected. We want to understand that will be addressed. The issues of facilities in terms of apparatus, which could have been challenged because the CEO, we had only one CEO. With the two CEOs, we want to believe that we will better our health function, our health services across the county. So I support his approval. Thank you.
Leader of the Majority Party.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to support this motion from the onset, Mr. Speaker, and indeed congratulate the committee led by one honorable able member health, Jackson Balu, and also want to stand in solidarity with the Kenyan doctors. The harassment that we are seeing in the national government, we condemn that act of tear gassing our doctors when they are asking for their right. Mr. Speaker, the member who is the subject matter today has also been a leader of the Kenya Medical Practitioner Dentist Union, Mr. Speaker. A leader of a kind, Mr. Speaker, and he has also been around in several health centers, dispensaries, Mr. Speaker, serving the people of Makueni. He truly understands the topography on medication in Makueni County, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I want to believe His Excellency the Governor did not make a wrong choice, Mr. Speaker. And indeed, what I did want to applaud the committee and the other committees is that this House is becoming so professional, Mr. Speaker, not that everything comes here
is a yes, yes. Just a while ago, 4 members were brought and 1 did not qualify. So, Mr. Speaker, it should go on record that we are very objective. We look at issues for the interest of the people of Makueni. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I am very sure that now with the additional chief officer, plus also the chief executive officer on that referral hospital, Mr. Speaker, we are going to see a change and not issues of hakietu, so to speak, in quote, on the roads. Because now one of the leaders who are hakietu is inside, Mr. Speaker. So therefore, I want to believe that a change must be seen and action speaks louder than word. I therefore support.
Honorable members, I now put the question for vote. That this assembly adopt the report of the Committee on Health Services for vetting of Dr. Harvey Mulei, the nominee for the appointment to the position of the Chief Officer, Health Services, Health, Human Resource Management and Administration, the report which was laid on the Assembly on 4th of March year 2024. The ayes have it. Honorable members, the nomination of Dr. Harvey Mulei as the nominee for the position of the Chief Officer, Health, Human Resource Management and Administration has been approved by this Assembly today on 5th of March at the afternoon session at 16:47 hours. Honorable members, going by what members have said and in line with their debate, is that now the Department of Health has 2 chief officers, and the Makueni County Referral Hospital has a chief executive officer. The very reason as to why we have a chief executive officer for an organization is that the chief executive officer will be responsible for the management of the referral hospital. I'm afraid we might be encountering confusion as when a county executive committee member for health sits within the hospital compound and the chief officer for health sits within the Makueni County referral compound, sharing same parking, almost same facilities. And now you have a chief executive officer sitting within the same compound. It goes without saying that the chief executive officer has no real power, mandate, and responsibility to manage. I would tell you, if a member of the county assembly would walk to that hospital and would want to ask a question on any issue, they will opt to walk into the office of the minister instead of the chief executive officer. And therefore, whether you like it or not, the chief executive officer will feel disempowered that he or she is operating in a territory which is mapped by superior guns. And therefore, it is important for purposes of separation of powers in administration that each office is given some independent space to operate. Perhaps that could be one of the reasons as to why some dispensaries, health centers are doing better and sub-county hospitals are doing better than the referral. What is it that it is not, it is in the referral, is not in the other dispensaries, health centers, and sub-county hospital? Perhaps it is the conglomeration of leadership. The CEO has executive authority, the ECM has executive authority over the CEO, the chief officer keeps the file for the CEO want to make decisions for the hospital. Some patients feel that they can say hi to the ECM before they talk to the CEO, and some officers can access the waziri and the CEO for a good morning greeting and afternoon catch-up, even when the CEO can only access the minister for official reasons. I think, Chairperson, that quagmire must be resolved. It is like having the office of the clerk inside the office of the speaker, and the chair of education is seated inside there, and an accountant seated there. That is unmanageable. So, Chairperson, Committee on Finance, please, as you sort the issue of settling of the chief officer, deal with it matter holistically. I cannot imagine the cabinet secretary, Nakumicha, having an office inside Kenyatta Referral Hospital, and the two PSS and the CEO for KEMSA seated inside Kenyatta Hospital, and then you have a chief executive in Kenyatta National Hospital, ideally, who is the CEO? Then the minister takes over the hospital. And perhaps, whether he likes or not, loyalty shifts and administration shift from the CEO to the chief boss and the deputy bosses. Perhaps that is the problem we are witnesses. I persuaded, as Kamba say, two bulls cannot reign in one boma. One must give way for the other to produce or to be reproductive in that boma. Otherwise, we'll have a generation of about 5 years without calves, because only one can rule at a time. Next order.
Order number 9, motion. The half-yearly progress report of the Committee on ICT Education and Internship for the period between July and December 2023.
Chairperson, Committee on Education.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move the following motion, that this Assembly adopts the half-yearly progress report of the Committee on ICT Education and Internship for the period in between July and December 2023, laid on the table of the Assembly on 27th February 2024. Straight away to the executive summary, Mr. Speaker, sir. During the period under review, the committee held a total of 20 sittings from 19th July 2023 to 17th November 2023. During the said period, the committee conducted the following business. Number 1, considered the half-yearly progress report of the Committee on ICT, Education and Internships for the period in January to June 2023. Number 2, considered the report on the implementation status for the reports and motions considered between September 2017 and June 2022. Number 3, considered the report on the implementation status of the County Assembly resolutions on the reports of February, March, and May 2023. Number 4, considered the report on the Makueni County Annual Development Plan, NDP 2024-2025, for the Department of ICT, Education and Internship. Number 5, considered the report on the financial year 2023-2024 Makueni County Supplementary Budget 1 estimates for the Department of ICT, Education and Internship. Number 6, considered the report on the implementation of the County Assembly resolutions for the Second Assembly 2017-2022 under the Department of ICT, Education and Internship. Number 7, considered the report on the financial year 2023-2024 Department Work Plan of ICT, Education and Internship Department. Number 8, considered the report on the oversight on early childhood development and education centers. Number 9, considered the report on the oversight on the county technical training institutes. Achievements, Mr. Speaker. During the period under review, the committee achieved the following. Number 1, demonstrating a proactive approach by identifying challenges in the early childhood development and education centers in Makueni County after an oversight activity conducted on ECDE centers throughout the county on the 13th and 14th of September 2023. The committee reported on their findings and they took steps to propose improvements for enhancing early childhood education. Number 2, evaluated the performance and the quality of county technical training institutes and recommended actions to enhance the effectiveness and the efficiency of CTTIs. This was made possible after the Assembly carried out an oversight exercise in various county technical training institutes. Number 3, outlined the clear objectives and activities for the ICT, Education and Internship Department for the year 23-24, providing a roadmap to achieve departmental goals as part of the consideration of the financial year 23-24 departmental work plan. Number 4, reviewed and reported on the successful implementation of resolutions during the Second Assembly provide insights into the impact of these resolutions on the Department of ICT, Education and Leadership, while reporting on the implementation of county assembly solutions from 2017 to 2022 in the assembly. Number 5, address budgetary needs and adjustments for the Department of ICT, Education and Leadership in the year 2023-2024 Makueni Supplementary Budget 1. And number 6, monitored and reported on the successful implementation of resolutions passed by the County Assembly in the months of February, March, and May 2023. Challenges. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee faced the following challenges during the period under review. Number 1, lack of committee training on legislative matters, which limited the committee in discharging its mandates on duties. Number 2, another challenge was an oversight activity in the County Assembly being carried out collectively by all members rather than being entirely the responsibility of a specific committee to ensure thorough reporting. Number 3, Mr. Speaker, the implementation of certain resolutions passed by the committee has been notably delayed, raising concerns about the timelines of execution. Findings and the observation. Mr. Speaker, the committee made the following findings and the observations. Number 1, most of the matters referred to the committee were considered and the feedback given in time or on time. Recommendations. The Department of ICT, Education and Leadership should continue with the spirit of furnishing the Assembly with requested information on time. Recommendation number 2, Mr. Speaker, the Department of ICT, Education and Leadership should fully implement all the recommendations and the resolutions contained in the reports passed by the Assembly under its review within the specified period of time. Number 3, each committee should have its own budget for oversight activities, and these activities should be conducted by the specific committees whose mandates align with the subject matter to ensure thorough reporting rather than depending on the entire Assembly for oversight. Acknowledgement. Mr. Speaker, sir, on behalf of the committee, I wish to thank the Office of the Speaker and the Office of the Clerk for the support over to the committee. On behalf of the committee, I hereby present this report on the County Assembly for adoption. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And now I call upon Honorable Kavai to second the motion.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I'm standing here to support to second the motion in full throttle. Thank you.
Honorable members, I propose the question that this Assembly adopt the annual progress report of the Committee on ICT Education Internship for the period between July and December 2023, laid on the table of Assembly on 27th of February 2024. Floor is open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I sincerely thank honorable members for supporting the motion, and I'm sure given any time, the department will perform marvelously. Thank you for your support, and may God bless you all. Thank you, sir.
Honorable members, the question is put that this Assembly adopt the annual progress report of the Committee on ICT Education Internship for the period between July and December 2023, laid on the table of the Assembly on 27th of February 2024. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as ayes have it. Honorable Chairperson, your recommendations is hereby noted and approved by the County Assembly. If I can remember, there's one, that every committee to have its own budget. So it has moved and has been approved. Honorable, what is it? It is Honorable Mbindi who has moved. Recently, other members moved and indicated as such. So let us on committee take note of that. Honorable members, time now being 17:00 hours, the Assembly stands adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, 6th of March 2004 at 14:30 hours.